Hello everyone, Dan 14th Prime here. I want to do a video share out today with you guys on the Transformers masterpiece MP-45 Bumblebee version 2.0. This little guy here is Takara's second attempt at going higher tune accuracy, particularly in the bop mode. Similar to what we saw with MP-44 Optimus Prime, Takara invests some time and energy to improve the tune likeness, improve the action figure articulation, though still not perfect. And interestingly, on this figure, despite Takara generally having fairly realistic alt mode designs, which we saw even with MP-44, here we have a very high tune accurate alt mode design that takes the shape of a bit of an exaggerated, very round Volkswagen bug. So interesting but curious at the same time. Now, as always, if you follow me on Instagram, same handle Dan14th Prime, I've had pics of Bumblebee up here since earlier in the week and just had to get past the holiday to find some time to take a closer look at him here. So definitely check me out on Instagram, again, Dan14th Prime. And as always, if anything on the channel is ever helpful to you, easiest thing you can do to say thanks is check the links down in the description below, my Amazon page, eBay partner links, and Sideshow Collectibles, among others that you'll find down there depending on the video. Any shopping you do those links supports the channel at no cost to you, and I do very much appreciate that. All right, let's dive in closer here and take a better look at B. So let me start off here and just give you a sense of scale. Here you've got B with Prime and a couple of the Autobot cars. And B's shoulder comes up to about Prime's knee, and his head goes slightly above, and there you can see how he compares to a couple different cars, being probably a bit taller than their waist. So he is definitely a small guy for the $100 or so that you'll pay for him, as Takara continues the trend of increasing the complexity of the design and the figure, which is generally adding benefits, but at the same time increases the price substantially as well. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at B in terms of the design. Here you can see it's super high tune accuracy. I mean, they're really nailing it with the head and the chest. Really, I think everything ankles up is really spot on. When you get down to the feet, it's been a big complaint on this figure. They're kind of like big clown feet. I find it not as bad in hand as some of the reviews have criticized it, but it's definitely not perfect. And probably the one improvement they could have made is if they could have found a way to put a hinge sort of here, just on this kind of wheel hub panel. If they could have got that to full down and under, it probably would have filled out the side of the foot better, narrowed it down from the front, and then they would have had basically a dead-on, tune-accurate B from the front. If we check him out from the profile here, again, there you can see some of that feet, some of the kibble off the back of the feet, but really it's just the overall size of them that makes them clunky. I mean, the windows in the back could probably be okay. And the backpack there, not terrible. Not perfect. And there's some hollowness because you see a lot of panels folding up back there. But for me, the backpack, it's acceptable. And we just give them a complete spin around here. Not too bad. I mean, you got a few screw holes, which you'll always have around the back of a Transformers figure. You mainly have the windows kind of clunking off the heels, which looks a bit funny. And this profile here, really not much different than the other. I will just point out, I mean, the paint on mine, again, it's always very case by case, but pretty clean, save for that window right there, which gets a bit sloppy on the faux roof, but otherwise pretty clean paint all the way around and nice pop with the paint. It's a nice sharp yellow, much improved over the prior version in that regard. And again, actually painted, which yes means it could chip or take some damage, but would you rather just have it plastic or would you rather have it painted? I'll take the painted, makes it really pop on the shelf. So let's jump up and take a close look at the head sculpt here. Again, super high tune accuracy, I think. Overall, pretty smooth. It's got sort of just some basic accenting there where you would find it in the cartoon. Again, G1 tune, a bit plain, but still has enough molding in there that doesn't look just too bland. Gives the paint something to sort of show off. You do get 2 extra faces with this guy, and basically just to swap out the face, I mean, you just pull it straight out from underneath. I'll try to get these all lined up for you if I can. And as you can see, you just get sort of variations with how wide he's opening his mouth and, probably getting more happy the wider his mouth is open. So again, we've been seeing that with Takara, just adding some playability, adding some swap outs. So while we've got B here, let's hit the articulation segment actually, because it's really one of the things that we probably all thought Takara was really looking to take to the next level as they move the masterpiece line forward, reboot figures, add new figures, and really start to make these bop modes like action figure style articulation and playability. And they didn't nail that on this B, though it does do a lot. You'll find the head here is on a hinge for transformation, so you can kind of lift it up, push it down a bit so it can kind of go higher and lower. And the head rotates on there. I think just fine. No issues. You know, you can get him to look up as silly as that if you prefer, and down as much as that. If you want to look at Spike or one of the young humans, the little humans, he can do all that, I think, pretty well. So the head is good. The shoulders, you get basically a mechanism there that does a butterfly for you, so he can put them together in the front. It also swivels up oddly like that. It does some things for transformation, but mainly you get a joint here, which would be the main joint for a lateral raise, and it spins up there at the shoulder as well. Then he gets an elbow to get you basically all the way there, and he's even got bicep swivel up there as well. And the hands just has sort of the fixed thumb and the four-finger articulation, obviously for something this small, so that's okay. Now for the torso, this is really where the miss is in terms of the action figure part. There's a bit of swivel in here. It's probably like, I don't know, 15 degrees each way. And it locks, and it's not the backpack actually. I've actually taken this guy apart because this sort of hitches together right here at the waist, sort of like a hooking peg. And it's the pieces at the hip panel that are actually blocking this, and they're almost like they're cut that way to do that. So I don't know why they felt the need to restrict the articulation, but that's a limit, and then you get no crunch or anything either, so they didn't put sort of the hinge mechanism in to really get the crunch in the ab. Now I can bend this fine though. Got a nice hip section there, so you can bend him, but still the twist and the ab crunch, basically my second complaint, and really the only big complaint, along with the foot design that I mentioned previously. If they had nailed those two things, this figure would be a home run, I think. Now in terms of the legs here, you have the moving hip skirt again with this guy, similar to Prime. You can get that up just like that, all the way, and you can get it back just a smidge. Get up, you can get a knee, and that starts to look ugly. You can get the knee like all the way, but actually you can then sort of push it into itself. So you can cover the knee and get a nice aesthetic look when you're doing a, you know, pretty significant knee bend. So they did a nice job with that. There's a hip swivel up there as well. Mine's pretty tight, but there you go. You can swivel that. There's nothing here for swivel wise. And then the foot, I think you get pretty good, pretty monster rock there. You know, it points pretty well. You get a bit on the up as well. Nothing really rocked to the outside, but that's okay. So that's the overall articulation. I mean, again, I think it's good, but the miss in here, particularly with just the waist in general, is pretty significant, admittedly. And not given the upgrade crunch, it feels like it's a little bit off point with the point of rebooting a 2.0 and also the direction they want to take the line. In terms of just other stuff in the box, he's got his collector's card here, Bumble version 2.0. And on the back, you got the toy and the stats there. He comes with a sticker sheet, which I really find an odd addition. I'm not sure who's using these. Cosmic Rust, I believe. Ice Cream, I believe. Some hearts for your I Love New York license plate. And then I think some sort of like pathogen or nanobot pathogen, something like that. All from specific episodes. So if you really love those episodes, I guess they're giving you something, but I find it kind of odd. They do give you Spike here. Again, pretty consistent with Prime. And yes, mine is missing an arm. You know, the clothing's all painted well. There's no face really there, though there is something a bit molded. They're fiddly and fall apart very easily at the limbs. But, you know, they've sort of got articulation pieces there. They tend to just like to fall apart. And literally, when I was posing him for the intro scene, his arm fell off, and it's somewhere at my feet, and I haven't found it yet. And then next up here, you get his blaster and a blast effect, which you would have saw at the top of the video when I had him posed up. Pretty typical, just, you know, a little peg there that will go into the hand, and you can close the fist around it. Now, mine actually broke because this blast effect was sort of pegged on there so hard that it just sort of split the gun coming off right here, where it starts to bulge out for the end of the barrel. So watch that. I've super glued it back on. Probably won't use that blast effect again after this video's done. Enough molding in there. Doesn't work good on my gray background. Enough molding in there gives it, you know, the paint something to show off. And it's perfect size for him, so pretty cool gun. Seems to store something like this. I will say mine, the peg is super tight. And it gets in the way of the butt flaps and stuff. So I don't find that to be the best storage, doing that right. But whatever, you can do it. And I wanted to share a little instructional video on how to transform him into bop mode. So if we start out here, we can just unpeg the front end like so and lift up this section here, come underneath and unpeg this back end a bit. Be careful with this panel so you don't break that off. I've seen people do it. You can just sort of grab the piece more holistically and just bring it to fold down. Now you've sort of loosened up some of the tension throughout the figure overall. So let's focus on the legs first. If we pull down, the foot there on the hinge, just create some clearance. We can open up this panel and straighten out the knee there, create some length. And there's a thigh panel up here, a double hinge, push that down, give that a twist to the outside, and you can close back up that panel. And now for this foot, it might be helpful to extend that panel for you. We know what B's foot looks like, right? So we want to start to rock this up. Now, we need to separate here the wheel well. That's going to spin around for us. That's going to help us to start to bring up the foot piece. And then we're bringing the tire piece to the bottom. So swing this all the way around and really just click it all the way over. And by doing that and sort of straightening out the foot, we've basically created the foot right there. See, tire underneath. And you then just fold this piece back down to the side there and push it back in. So you get it nice and tight. It's going to sit right there. And this piece is going to bend up around the back of the heel. This guy's so little sometimes, just keeping your hands on him. So that's one leg. Pretty short and sweet. I will just say while I'm here, I don't love that they put the finishing pieces underneath on the foot. So watch where you're setting him, bottom of the foot. You could get scuffing or scratching there. So again, just give it a little rotation to open up some space. Panel out, extend the leg, twist it to the outside. Whoop. Actually, let's not forget our thigh panel here. It's easier to do that before we twist. So we covered. And that should peg in. There we go. Twist to the outside and fold that back up. And again, the wheel. Separate it. Start to spin it around, which then lets you pull this down. You're kind of just twisting in and pulling down. See how it goes under the gray. And again, you finish pushing this really all the way across as far as you can, so it's flush on the inside there. Again, giving that a little extension might help you because we want to fold this up and under, and then you can push it all back down so it's sitting underneath, and you fold that up on the heel. So there you basically have the legs. Now upstairs here, where we'd left this like this, want to come back to the roof, you can extend it here. You'll see a slide mechanism through that rear window, side windows. You can extend that and start to pull out here. Feed through here all of this stuff on the inside. We'll save that. Keep bringing it all the way up so you can see how the bop mode's coming together. And now what I'm trying to do is spin his waist there, just making sure enough kibble is out of the way. So I have spun around and got that facing front now. Open it up, create some space here. Just get the arms out of the way. Bring these like this, just so they're a bit out of the way. And you can reach in here and pull out the head. Hardest part for me, I can never, oh, there go, went easy. Sometimes just getting your hand in there is half the challenge. So we're like this, we're close. We want to fold these wheels up into his torso. You can pinch in the fenders here. Gives you just some of the extra clearance you'll need to make this happen. Again, getting the arms up, getting this backpack back because we want to go up here and just sit that in just like that. So again, that up here, and I'll sit in like that. All right, so we come back around here. There's a little bit of a groove system here. You'll see this. It kind of gives a little hinge there, and it's going to sit right in there like that. You can kind of put the head down. Arms will situate now. See how you get this butterfly flush to a shoulder and this joint here. Go ahead and give it a bend. And then bring it down. The joint is like tougher than the butterfly joint sometimes, so you gotta be careful where you're applying the pressure there. He's got these hanging down. Let's just go ahead and flip them back. They'll create the back of the arm. And then just give a little twist because you want his hand facing up probably. So fold that up. Hand facing up. Let's finish up back here. Kind of set this up a bit here. It'll hinge back. This piece, you can pull it out. Flip down the little tire section. Give that just a little other parallel, which lets you spin the tire section up. Fold it up on the window. Push back in the little extension you just did. This here we need to fold into the back. So these slide up like this. And it goes behind the bigger piece. These two little pieces do. And it folds up there, and then it folds up there again. And then this piece just comes down. And you want to get that flat, that inside peg, mushroom peg, sort of basically pointing down. Maybe it's at like a 15-degree angle to the right down. And it just sits over the back of that. The little hub thing goes flush against the window. And that's it. There you have alt mode Bumblebee. So here we have Bumblebee in his alt mode. Again, I think this is super high tune accurate Volkswagen design from the G1 cartoon. So, and this is where it's interesting, I think, because we haven't really seen Takara go for design with high tune accuracy in alt mode. Yes, we've seen colors, right? With MP-45, all the right color scheme was there. But the molding and everything of the truck was actually still had a sense of realism to it. Whereas I feel this gives us a bit of that sort of exaggerated just humpiness that B's alt mode had from the G1 cartoon. So it's got the the clear windows all the way around, the black tires, silver rims. Tires really more like a hard plastic. They've got front on, headlights painted, the Autobot logo. Now it does come with this I Autobot logo New York. This is where you'd use one of your heart stickers to make it I Love New York. And this just clips onto the front. Okay, sorry I hadn't used this before yet. And I was struggling, and I see why. I have a bit of a defect here. I have two left bumper pieces. They just took a left one and turned it upside down and put it on the right, it looks like. This would be a left one upside down. There is a little bit of an indent underneath that helps you to hook in the plate. And I've got it on the bottom on this side and on the top on this side. So assembly issue there is not going to let me put on this bumper plate. But let me just continue spinning the figure around there. Oh, the profile side again, I think just so cool in terms of the shape of the car and everything. Really fun. There's that back end. Pretty simple. And again, if you want to see the top, you get some panels because that's sort of the way the figures are going to get the high tune accuracy in the bot mode. Excuse me. You get a bit more panel lines in these alt modes. Pretty clean underneath. There is here underneath some gun storage. There's like a couple grooves there and like the upper thighs. And the grooves, they'll fit the pegs of the gun, so that can store like that. So there you have it, guys. Transformers MP-45 version 2.0 Bumblebee in my one-arm spike. It's okay, it's a solid but not quite spectacular figure. I think better than a lot of the earlier reviews I saw gave it credit for, actually. Again, two main things to fix for me would have been the foot design, just put that extra hinge right there, and I think they'd have it nailed. And then the waist and ab crunch articulation in the bot mode here, it needs to be a high articulation action figure. That's what they need to go for. They fix those things, and it's a home run, because I think everything else in the figure works really nicely. I have transformed mine quite a bit. The paint's held up very well. But again, I don't love the finishing pieces on the bottom of the feet. That's a risk for paint scratches. And of course, I've had my unique issue of the bumpers being misassembled and two left bumpers, two driver's side bumpers, basically. And the tip of my gun breaking as well. So it's not to say I haven't had some QC issues. It hasn't been paint or anything or joints or anything of that nature, just odd things. with some of these gimmicks and accessories. But on the whole, happy to pick it up. I mean, it is stretching the value a bit at about $100. I got mine from Amazon Japan. So I do think they're really maxing out the price for what it is. Probably could and should easily be less. But even if they drop the price, $25, it's not like all of a sudden it's a definite yes versus a definite no at 100. So it's pricey on the pricier end, but I'm still happy with the purchase, happy with the figure. I hope the video was helpful, guys. Again, like and subscribe if so, comment. Supports the channel very much. Check me out on Instagram, where I'm typically posting first, when I'm getting into the collection and what's probably going to come up for review. And as always, if anything's ever helpful to you, any shopping you do through the links below, Amazon, my eBay partners link, some of my videos have Sideshow link if that's what the type of product I'm reviewing. Any shopping those links supports the channel, no cost to you, and I do very much appreciate that. All right, thanks for checking in on this Bumblebee version 2.0 video share out. I'll see you next time.